donate to this channel. The PayPal link is in the description. All right. We're going to talk about greatness, and we're also going to talk about the lies that Israel have made concerning Palestine, and also the propaganda that they spread to try to offset people so they can get their way. We're going to talk about all of that. It's coming up. First, Luke chapter 22, verses 1 to 5. The festival of unleavened bread, which begins with the Passover celebration, was drawing near. The leading priests and teachers of religious law, Jewish priests and teachers of religious law, were actively plotting Jesus' murder, but they wanted to kill him without starting a riot, a possibility they greatly feared. Notice the strategy. Then Satan entered into Judas Iscariot, who was one of the 12 disciples, and he went over to the leading priests and captains of the temple guard to discuss the best way to betray Jesus to them. They were delighted that he was ready to help them, and they promised him a reward. So he began to look for an opportunity to betray Jesus so he could arrest him quietly when the crowds weren't around. 3 major points. 1, they were plotting and planning to kill Jesus without starting a riot. 2, the guy who's betraying Jesus is one of Jesus's people. They were able to infiltrate his people and therefore give them a reward for betrayal. And 3, they were going to arrest him quietly when crowds were not around. Okay? He used the infiltrator to do that. All right, we're going to talk about boxing, but first, let me talk about Israel and its lies, particularly the Israeli government and the IDF, being very specific. First of all the allegations so far that Israel has made, even concerning the United Nations relief fund that assists Palestinian people in relieving them, all of these things are funded allegations that have no factual backing whatsoever. The dossier that came out concerning supposed Hamas infiltration of the UNRWA so far has no factual funding. There's no intelligence, no actual information that has been shown to anyone showing this. They have fabricated every single lie, from the lies concerning the hospitals to the lies concerning Hamas agents being in massively densely populated areas, to the lies concerning Hamas attack on October 7th. They have just gone with lie after lie after lie after lie. These people have been continuously lying Netanyahu and his regime. And these Western nations have been just acting, that is the executive arm of them, have been acting on these lies, knowing they are lies. All of them are in cahoots for this genocide. This is a genocide that's happening in cahoots. And the Most High, I promise you, the Most High will reward them as they have worked so hard for. Judas Iscariot, what happened to him? He hung himself after getting his reward, because every man works for a reward. Betrayal, you get a reward for betrayal, but there's another reward you have worked hard for. And in the case of Judas Iscariot, it was him committing suicide. He worked hard to commit that suicide. And woe unto him in the resurrection. And then all of these wicked people in high places, including Joe Biden and Netanyahu and his goons and his cohorts, Ben Yagir, and all of these wicked people, they got their just reward coming to them. Yeah, it's coming. Sheol is coming for you, right on your heels. And there's no repentance by them. They are not turning from their wicked ways. Just as how these wicked Sanhedrin, this wicked set of leaders, conspired to murder Jesus for doing absolutely nothing but good, so will it happen to these wicked people, killing innocent children and women. You kill children, you're child killers and you're woman killers, right? Hypocrites. talking about, you want to talk about women and children's well-being in America. You're a hypocrite. You're a bloody hypocrite. And the Most High will deal with you for your evil. You will be dealt with. Shout out to Low Key and Double Down News. Go check them out and subscribe to Double Down News, exposing how the Israeli intelligence is now infiltrated UK intelligence, and they run the intelligence arm of the UK, including NIS. So they have infiltrated different places, and they're able to move people like puppets, you know, because they threaten people and so on. But no more. It'll be exposed, and it'll be exposed to its foundation. Wicked people. Wicked people. Again, I'm not against the Jewish people. If you're a Jew, I'm not against you. I'm against the wicked people behind this. Okay? And they're committing atrocities worse than the Holocaust. Worse than the Holocaust. These wicked people. Okay? Posing as people who are democratic, posing as people who care about every ethnicity and every race. No, you are wicked people, and you will be dealt with. I promise you that. I'm coming for you. And we will make sure justice is served. It will not end. We will not allow this to happen on my watch. Won't happen on my watch. In line with that, let's talk about Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is not, in my opinion, a wicked person, because I do not know of him assassinating anyone, neither their characters, neither their try to get him out of boxing or anything like that. Teofimo Lopez is not that kind of guy. In fact, Teofimo Lopez is responsible with all the trash talk that Teofimo Lopez talks. Teofimo Lopez is responsible for Lonnie B right now being under the takeover banner. And shout out to Tio. Much love to Tio. I do love Teofimo Lopez. Contrary to popular opinion, I like him as a person. He says some crazy outlandish things, but by and large, he is a guy with a huge heart. He's a really kind guy. He's going through some stuff, but he's a kind guy, and he's a good guy with heart. He says a lot of crazy stuff. Is Teofimo Lopez a great fighter? I'm going to say yes. He's a great fighter, and I'm going to tell you why. He beat Vasily. I make no qualms when I say this. He beat Vasily Lomachenko. Now, I predicted that he would beat Vasily Lomachenko, but he beat Vasily Lomachenko. And Vasily Lomachenko can make as much excuses as you want. He beat him, fair and square. And Vasily Lomachenko is a great fighter himself. Okay? It takes a great fighter to beat a great fighter. Okay? Teofimo Lopez didn't do this once. He did this a number of times. He beat Richard Comey, who was the IBF champion at the time, and a guy who had a really great right hand. He beat Richard Comey. Richard Comey's not a great fighter, but he's a good fighter. He's a solid fighter. Okay? And then Teofimo Lopez also beat Josh Taylor. This is on record. Y'all can say that Josh Taylor was weight drained and blah, 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 blah. And saying it was crazy, wasn't looking so good. But truth be told, Teofimo Lopez beat him. And Josh Taylor is the same Josh Taylor that beat Jose Ramirez, that beat Regis Prograis. You know, he has a list of people he has beaten and really good champions. I think he also beat, what's his name? Former world champion, I forgot what his name is right now, Victor Postol. All right? He beat a number of really good, solid champions. So when you look at that, you have to say, Teofimo Lopez has to be a great fighter to have done that. Now, people say, well, Teofimo Lopez, he goes up and down, up and down, up and down. It's not that he goes up and down. Teofimo Lopez is what he is. Like the great Roberto Duran, who also went up and down after lightweight. He had a great lightweight career, but I argue that certain fighters beat him at lightweight. But nonetheless, the great Roberto Duran also went up and down, up and down, up and down. Many fighters go up and down, up and down. Even great fighters go up and down, okay? There are certain styles which give great fighters problems. If you do remember, the great Sugar Ray Robinson, he was beaten by that Brit. I forgot what the Brit's name is. And in both fights, he got fits from that Brit. I forgot what the Brit's name is. Okay, the great Sugar Ray Robinson. The great Sugar Ray Robinson got beat by Tiger Jones, an inside fighter, aggressive inside fighter, who also could box. Okay? In fact, the great Sugar Ray Robinson was beaten by many fighters. Quite a number of fighters. He had a lot of fights, but he was beaten by many fighters. He had an up and down career. What made Roberto Duran and what made Sugar Ray Robinson, particularly in the latter part of Sugar Ray Robinson's career, was up and down. But what made their career great was, in spite of their downs, they were able to bounce back. And against the right opponent, they look good. You know what I'm saying? Now, Teofimo Lopez has problems, as we already know, with guys who not just could box, because Teofimo Lopez would beat boxers. That's not the problem. He has a problem with boxers who can keep him outside of his preferred range. Once Teofimo Lopez gets in his preferred range, like Manny Pacquiao, like Vasily Lomachenko, he does his thing. All right, you saw Teo countering Jermaine Ortiz once he got within mid-range. Once he ran in mid-range, he always had a counter for Jermaine Ortiz. But he didn't always land it, but he always had a counter. He always countered Jermaine Ortiz's counter. So even Jermaine Ortiz countered him, he would come back with a counter. But he couldn't do it because he couldn't get in range. Jermaine Ortiz kept the fight long, for the most part, or very close on the inside. He would cramp Teo for space. Is Teo a great fighter? Yes. Does he have a kryptonite to him? Yes. Did the great Roberto Duran have a kryptonite to him? Yes. Will Fedor Benitez outbox him? The kid from the UK outboxed him. A guy nobody really knew like that. He outboxed him. Several guys outboxed him. Sugar Ray Leonard outboxed him. Many guys outboxed him. People thought Duran's career was over. He had an up and down career after lightweight. Right? Did that not make him a great fighter? It's his achievements. It's your achievements throughout your career that make you great. Achievements etched in stone that make you great. And Teofimo Lopez is a great fighter, or should I say, has begun great because of the incredible achievements he's done. He has beaten 2 lineal champions. 2 lineal champions. And not just any kind of lineal champion, pound for pound lineal champions. You can't just look at him and say he's not great. Now he has to continue. He has to continue doing this, right? But the thing about Teofimo Lopez, y'all got to give him props for, is he's always going after the very best. The very best. Teofimo Lopez said, I want to go after Terrence Crawford. It sounds ludicrous because, but Terrence Crawford is the best 147-pounder in the 147-pound division. Now, who else should Teofimo Lopez go after if he's going to go up to 147? No, he's doing the right thing by going after the very best, as ludicrous as it is. He's right to do that. He went after the best 135-pounder. He went after the best 140-pounder. And now he's going to try to go after the best 147-pounder. How can he be wrong for doing that? He's supposed to want to go after the best. That's what makes you great. So in that respect, I respect Teofimo Lopez. I do believe he's a great fighter, and he will be a great fighter when all is said and done. I do believe that certain styles give him tremendous problems, and he has to work on his game to be able to get those things in place. But we're not going to take from Teofimo Lopez that he's not a great fighter. Oh, he's inconsistent. We live in a different day and age. That's true. But when you're taking on the very best and you're taking on tough challenges, certain parts of your game are going to show up as certain parts of your game are going to be tested, and you're either going to be found wanting at that point in time, or you're going to overcome and you're going to show, that you have a complete game. Okay, but these are all tests for these boxers, and they either pass it with flying colors or they get by. And Teo got by against Ortiz. The judges at least gave him the fight. So he has a chance to go back to the drawing board and deal with, he still has issues with overhand rights. He still has issues with right hands that catch him coming in. He still has issues reaching. He still has issues closing the distance. He still has issues cutting off the ring. He still has issues, you know, uh, getting his footwork in order to be able to walk down a fighter. Okay, he still has issues with boxing out a fighter to make a fighter fight. But the challenges he's facing, Jermaine Ortiz, Sandor Martin, if he learns from those experiences, if he's humble enough to learn from those experiences and work on his game and keep working on his game, he will improve. But quite frankly, I think it's just a flaw in his style. His style is susceptible to those styles. And unless he changes his style and he starts coming forward with his hands up, walking down fighters, he's going to have a lot of problems. He has to keep these hands up when he's fighting. Jermaine Ortiz is a way more skilled fighter than Teofimo Lopez, clearly. You know, he switches from orthodox to southpaw. He can fight with either hand. He can give you many different angles, many different looks. He was using many different feints. You know, he's much more versatile fighter than Teofimo Lopez because he has a lot more skills than Teofimo Lopez. So Teofimo Lopez, you know, got outclassed in that boxing match, in which as I said before, I scored a 10-2. I gave Teo the first round. I gave him one of the mineral rounds, and that's it. I didn't give him the last round. I didn't give him the 12th. I don't see why he won the 12th. I didn't see anything that showed me he won the 12th. But that doesn't take away from his greatness, what he has accomplished in the sport of boxing. In the sport of boxing, it's what you've done. And if you've done it, you know, and then he's also taken on Jermaine Ortiz, who may turn out to be a great world champion in the future. It may turn out to be a serious threat in the 140-pound division. So to get a win over Jermaine Ortiz, whether you consider it valid or not, in the books it goes out as a win, would be looking better on Teofimo Lopez's resume. Take for instance Gervonta Tank Davis. Gervonta Tank Davis knocked out Rolly Romero. And at the time, people were saying, you know, Rolly Romero, he's nothing, he's nobody. And then Rolly Romero came and won the 140-pound title. Became world champion. Now, that win Tank has had over Rolly Romero, it looks better. And if Rolly Romero continues to improve and to do better and better in his boxing and to compile wins or losses or whatever, or whoever he faces, because his fight with Pitbull Cruz is a good fight, that once again would just reflect well on Tank's win over Rolly Romero. So you have to understand that you cannot say because a fighter seems inconsistent, seems to be going up and down, that they're not great. And that's the problem with the sport of boxing. The sport of boxing, not the sport of boxing, the problem with the commentators who introduce certain thoughts into fans' heads, which are erroneous and wrong. We have to watch at a fighter's career and how it progresses. Is Adrian Broner a great fighter? Absolutely. His accomplishments state he's a great fighter. You have to look at great fighters face great fighters. You can't say Adrian Broner is not a great fighter. He faced Manny Pacquiao, Marcus Maidana, Sean Porter. He faced Jesse Vargas. He faced Mikey Garcia. These are all good to great fighters. Some of them are going into the Boxing Hall of Fame. Did he get any wins over them? No. But these are names. These add to your cachet. These add to your business acumen. These add to your business, right? So, of course, this guy has faced some great fighters. All right. For people to say that Adrian Broner is not a great fighter because he didn't win some of those. No, but he faced the best. He faced the very best. And earlier on in his career at super featherweight, he faced the very best again, or some of the top fighters, and he beat them. So you have to look at this guy, and then he's a 4-divisional world champion. You have to look at all of these things. So when we're talking about boxing, when we're talking about how good a fighter is or how great a fighter is, you have to look at their entire body of work. see what they've accomplished. Okay? And Teofimo Lopez is off to a blinding start. Is he ducking Devin Haney? Of course he's ducking Devin Haney. Is he ducking some of the other fighters? Of course he's ducking some of the other fighters. Of course. Keith Thurman ducked Errol Spence. And Teofimo Lopez is ducking these other guys. His confidence is kind of shaken as well. He doesn't have the confidence he had after Kambosos beat him. Should have taken on Devin Haney. But that doesn't take away from his greatness and what he's accomplished so far in the sport of boxing and what he will do moving forward. So we have to be able to discriminate between an inconsistent fighter, or what people consider an inconsistent fighter, and a fighter who has accomplished different things. You have to look at Teofimo Lopez's accomplishments. This is why I say, what makes a fighter great? It's what they've done. It's what they've done. Right? Now, Teofimo Lopez has faced two very tough fighters, Sandor Martin and Jermaine Ortiz, who in their own rights should be world champions today. Okay? Teofimo Lopez should be a world champion today. And Sandor Martin, if he gets the opportunity, he'll become a world champion, I believe. Sandor Martin versus Jermaine Ortiz will be a great fight to watch. Yes, some people will say it's not a barn burner, but it's too... Well, I think Jermaine Ortiz is a better offensive fighter than Sandor Martin. He would have faced the very best fighter at 140 in Teofimo Lopez. So when they fight, I believe that that meshing of styles would be in favor of Jermaine Ortiz, because Jermaine Ortiz can also walk you down. He's a pressure fighter. He can really put in that work. So I would love to see that fight. There's Jack Catterall. Nobody's talking about him. This is the guy that beat Josh Taylor, but didn't get the decision. Should have been undisputed, right? These are all guys that deserve their flowers. They deserve the merit. And then we can see what they do against top fighters, because they're proven to be better fighters than the guys they faced, who are great fighters. Josh Taylor is also another fighter who, I'm being a little premature here, but he's a great fighter as well. Became undisputed. He beat all the top 140 pounders of his time. So you have to look at the accolades. You got to look at what they've done, what these fighters have done. There may be some question marks on the accolades, but you have to look at what they've done. And Josh Taylor did this, relatively early in his career. So you have to look at that. Teo, Josh Taylor, Devin Haney, those guys are the greats of this crop of fighters so far. This is the names people talk about because these guys have actually accomplished something. Josh Taylor, you look at his resume, he's accomplished some stuff. Teofimo Lopez, you look at his resume, he's accomplished some stuff. Devin Haney, when you look at his resume, he's accomplished some stuff. These are the top 140 pounders, period. Subriel Matias. A lot of people say people are afraid to face Subriel Matias because, he's big, he's strong, keeps coming, he breaks down fighters. He killed a fighter, Dadashev. He killed a guy, Dadashev. He beat up really bad and stopped, a very skilled young fighter who took a big step up to face him. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, Subriel Matias has the potential to be a great fighter. But as a fighter, I would love to see these other great fighters face. I would love to see Catterall face him. I know Catterall will handle him. Jack Catterall will handle him. I believe that Jermaine Ortiz would handle him. I do not know if Sandor Martin would handle him. Sandor Martin doesn't have as much skill as, say, a Jermaine Ortiz. Definitely not as much skill as Jermaine Ortiz. Jermaine Ortiz is so versatile. And I will tell you this. I think also that Jack Catterall has that skill in him to beat a Subriel Matias, most definitely. But Sandor Martin, maybe he could do it. But I think Sandor Martin's more of a guy that another fighter can close the distance on. At lightweight, the great fighters there are Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson. Again, look at their body of work. Tank hasn't faced a number one fighter in any division, but he has definitely faced some really good fighters. He's not faced a great fighter like Haney and Teo have. Okay. But he's faced a lot of good fighters, and Josh Taylor's the same thing. He's faced a lot of good fighters, but he's also faced the #1 fighter in his division. Tank hasn't done that. But Tank is a great fighter. He's a big name today. Then you have Shakur Stevenson, who faced the #1 fighter in at 130. Shakur Stevenson is another great fighter in that division, right? You have Lomachenko, who's a great fighter in that division, all right? George Kambosos has beaten great fighters. He is to prove now that he's a great fighter. He's a good fighter. Good fighter. He's taken on the best, come up short. But we will see if he's a great fighter. Maybe he beats Vasily Lomachenko. If that happens, it's an uphill battle for Kambosos. I'm not going to lie. He's the underdog in this fight. But I would say this, that, okay, hold on 1 second. Okay. But I would say this about George Kambosos. If he were to beat Vasily Lomachenko, he'd be a great fighter as well. He'd be up there. You have to say he's one of the top guys in 130-pound division. He's upper echelon. He definitely is one of the elite fighters. But is he a great fighter? That's a totally different story. Will George Kambosos go in the Boxing Hall of Fame? If he beats Vasily Lomachenko, he will. And he knows this. And he's going to have home court advantage. Once the judges don't swindle Lomachenko, we will see what happens, right? So greatness is based on your track record. You know, Kambosos has a pretty decent track record. He beat Teofimo Lopez, who was the best 135 pounder. He beat him. This is the guy that beat Vasily Lomachenko. Can he beat Vasily Lomachenko? If he beats Vasily Lomachenko, then George Kambosos has to be considered a great fighter because he would have beaten 2 great fighters in Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko. Okay? Contemporary great fighters, that is. Not great fighters of all time, just contemporary great fighters of all year. So we have to watch to see if George Kambosos, who's a guy that spoils, man, he's a spoiler. He does his homework, he has his skills, he uses his tenacity, he uses his heart to win fights. And he also is quick with his feet, and he circles around the ring and stuff like that. And he understands the blueprint to beat Vasily Lomachenko. Can he pull it off? So that's the question. You know? And hopefully, you know, Devin Haney can give him a couple points. Remember, Devin Haney was longer than Lomachenko. Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko were around about the same size. But there's a certain way to solve Lomachenko. You have to deny him. But the thing about it is, Kambosos actually does some of the similar things Lomachenko does. Because Kambosos likes Manny Pacquiao. So Kambosos is like the right-handed version of what Lomachenko, but he's much more deficient than Lomachenko. Lomachenko is way more skilled than him, way more experienced than him. And so Lomachenko can pull some magic out the bag. At mid-range, this is going to be a very tough fight to beat Lomachenko at mid-range, unless you're using your jab, and you're jabbing your right hand, and you got to be countering him at every step of the way. It's going to be tough for Kambosos, but is it possible? Absolutely, and we will see. There's a blueprint to beat Lomachenko, you know. So we'll see. I'm riding with Kambosos. Do I pick Kambosos to win? No, I favor Lomachenko to win, but I'm riding with Kambosos. I hope he wins. I really do, because of all the crap that people be saying about him. I hope he comes up in spades, and I hope he pulls it off. I don't want a robbery. I don't want Lomachenko to be robbed, but I hope Kambosos does a better job than Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez did with Lomachenko, which is an uphill battle for that to happen. But who knows? If he does his homework, he'll figure out some advantages to his size and height and how he can actually pull that off. As I said before, his skills are not, he don't have the skills like Lomachenko in mid-range. He just doesn't. So he has to figure out a way to push Lomachenko back. He has to push him back. And that means he has to get behind his jab to make that happen. He has to be able to out-jab Lomachenko. He has to use double and triple jabs and that kind of thing. And he has to push Lomachenko back. Lomachenko is not going to do nothing if you're pushing him back. That's the key here. Push Lomachenko back. Kambosos is a very aggressive fighter. has a lot of tenacity. So will that be possible? I don't know. But that's what he has to do. That's how he's going to get the advantage against Lomachenko. He's tough, but toughness, Lomachenko will piece you up real quick if you're not on your A game. So it's going to be tough for Kambosos, I think, but I think he can do it. I think he can do it. He seems to be enjoying fighting southpaws, and he's circling the right direction to deal with Lomachenko. So Lomachenko likes to go in and out, so does Kambosos. So this is going to be an interesting fight. This might be like Manny Pacquiao versus Juan Manuel Marquez. If Kambosos can counterpunch really well and he can keep range at a certain way to dip in and out, this could be a Manny Pacquiao versus Juan Manuel Marquez. They can neutralize out each other, and it could end up being a trilogy. If it's a very exciting fight, because Kambosos also has a very exciting style, and if he's smart with it, this could be something. It really could be something, and it will shut down all the naysayers. It would shut down all the people who were, trashing this fight. Because what you want is exciting fights. You want competitive fights, right? Right? Now, I'm not saying that Loma versus Shakur Stevenson wouldn't be a great fight as well. But why not Loma versus Kambosos? Why not? Y'all shit on Kambosos. So if Kambosos pulls out what is a very exciting fight, even if he loses, a very exciting, dramatic fight, far less if he wins, and a very exciting fight with Lomachenko, and he either wins by split decision or he wins through, maybe a unanimous decision, but a unanimous decision in which he, gets the nod. What are you guys going to say? What are you guys going to say? Oh, Loma, he got old. No, you can't make that excuse. Styles make fights. So I'm looking forward to that fight, Loma versus Kambosos. I know most people are going to heavily favor Loma, but I think y'all are underestimating Kambosos and what I've seen from Kambosos. And while I do pick Lomachenko to win this fight, I do see Kambosos possibly upsetting Lomachenko. I'm telling you, man, Kambosos is training his ass off for this, and he knows what he needs to do. He's a cerebral fighter. He knows what he needs to do, and I hope that he gets through with what he's planning to do, because this is his thing. This is his thing. This is his range. This is the kind of fight he wants. He's an aggressive fighter. He has a strong win to win, and he's also cerebral. He's also smart. He understands he has to do certain things. So we'll see what he does and what kind of adjustments he makes and what kind of adjustments Lomachenko makes, because Lomachenko, again, extremely experienced, smart fighter, very skilled. Lomachenko should win this fight. That's why everybody's picking him. But you just never know with Kambosos, man. You never know with Kambosos. The only guy that's really beaten Kambosos is Devin Haney. Kambosos was tunneling forward. I don't believe Maxie Hughes beat Kambosos. I don't believe that. I thought Kambosos took that fight. But I think Maxie Hughes didn't even win a round after Kambosos started coming into his gear. I think Kambosos, again, won what I thought was a close fight, though. But I would like to see if Kambosos can step up his game and be ready for he was a sparring partner for Manny Pacquiao. So I do believe Kambosos can pull this off. I think he can. I really do. I think he has the tools to bring the kryptonite to Vasily Lomachenko. In fact, I think he has the tools. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to leave that alone, and we'll see how it goes. Right? We'll see how it goes. But I think he has the tenacity. I think he has the tools. I think he's smart enough. He has the ring smart enough to actually get a win over Lomachenko and shuck all of y'all. Shuck all of y'all. But we'll see. If he stays humble, if he keeps to the task at hand, if he sticks to his training, he should be able to have a game plan to beat Lomachenko. And I hope he does. I really do. I'm rooting for him. I'm not saying that he will, but I'm rooting for him, And I'm saying all of this to say that we have to be able in real time to be able to recognize greatness, to recognize guys who push themselves to the nth degree. There are a lot of boxers out here who don't get the opportunities like these fighters. Jermaine Ortiz got an opportunity of a lifetime, and his name's going to be there. Now, I see his promoter, Bob Arum, behaving like a devil, talking down the guy and cursing him out and stuff because it was a Tuesday night Super Bowl fight and he felt that Ortiz stunk up the joint. Ortiz didn't stink up the joint. Ortiz did what he was supposed to do. Your boy, Teofimo Lopez, didn't do what he was supposed to do. That's why what happened. Okay? I gotta be brutally honest. I like Teofimo Lopez. Again, I don't hate the guy. I like him as personally. I like his what he brings to boxing, the excitement, and all of that. I like his creativity. He has great ideas. I'm not against Teofimo Lopez like that, but I can't. He has certain things he needs to work on in his boxing game if he wants to be an all-around, complete boxer. And he did not do what he was supposed to do on the night. Jermaine Ortiz did what he was supposed to do. Teofimo Lopez didn't do what he was supposed to do because some of that he couldn't do. He didn't know how to do. Neither he nor his father knew how to do. That's why they were confused. Right? Now, some people are advising, some people are saying, well, Teofimo Lopez, he needs to get another trainer added to his camp. And some other people saying, well, he may not listen to the other trainer that is added to his camp. Well, here's the thing. Boxers always collaborate with other people. And Joey Camash is a good guy. I don't know if he's still in Teofimo Lopez's camp or he's not. Maybe they brought him back. Maybe they didn't. Joey Camash was always there and he was working with Teofimo Lopez. And that's where Teofimo Lopez really had the confidence and he started to rise and do things. They need to bring back Joey Camash. They need to mend the wounds with Joey Camash and they need to bring him back in. That's what they need to do. Okay? Because Joey Camash was a hell of a fighter. And Joey Camash actually was benefiting Teofimo Lopez in his camp. Okay? Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be real with y'all. You cannot, when people are helping you, when people are making you a better fighter, okay? I'll look at how Deontay Wilder got rid of Mark Breland. Mark Breland's the guy that made Deontay Wilder. We'll see how Rolly Romero does without Bullet. We'll see how he does without Bullet. If it worked, don't fix it. If it's not working to the point where it should be, you need to add something. And they subtracted Joey Camash. They should have kept Joey Camash. I don't know if Joey Camash is still there. I don't know if they mend the wounds. It ain't going to happen overnight. But Joey Camash is an integral part of why Teofimo Lopez is so successful in the pros. Okay? That's the piece that they need to put back. And that will help Teofimo Lopez in his growth, his all-around development. Joey Camash is a hell of a fighter. And he's a hell of a trainer. He's got a great reputation as a trainer. But Joey Camash, if you're not treating the man right, Tio, if you're not treating the man right, he gonna leave. I don't care what dispute it is. Y'all was a winning combination, and you need to go back to Joey Camash. That's your missing link right there. And if you were working with him in this camp, then stay with him. That's the guy you need to stay with, because it's not all going to click all at once. It's not all going to work out all at once. And the guy, if you're like working on something, for example, Jermaine Ortiz ain't the guy to go try it out on. You need to have a stay busy fight in between. So what Tio can do, I know he wants to only have big fights, but you need to have a stay busy fight in between those fights with somebody who's, and you work on that. You work on what you've been working on. That's what you have to do. But, Tio is missing this. He's missing this in his fighting. And maybe that's just not part of his style. Maybe his style is to show the blade and to kind of lean back and then come in, right? But he's missing this part of his game. He needs to get that back. He needs to go back to amateurs, keep their hands up. However he wants to keep their hands up. But he has to learn to do that and do it properly. Because the blade is why you get countered over it. You get countered over the blade because you don't know how to do this. And it's easy. You just put this up. Instead of having a blade here, you put this up. And you shoot over it. You know? So it is what it is. It is what it is. But that's what's lacking in Teal's game. A lot of things are lacking in his game. But that's one of the things that's lacking in his game. And again, you don't have to be the perfect fighter, though, right, to be great. But are you settled with that? Or you want to advance yourself? Do you want to explore different things and see what's good for your style? I'm not saying he has to do this, but it's something that keeps you from getting countered so easily, you know? It keeps you from getting countered so easily. Now, I'm not saying that's the only way. I'm just saying that's one of the things. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that doesn't work for him. Maybe his style needs something else. But whatever it is, you have to work on perfecting that now. You know, you never arrive in boxing. Now, with respect to one more thing I want to talk about, and we're going to call it a day. The last thing I want to talk about is, in boxing, I see a lot of times fans and other people talking about fighters, and they don't realize that these fighters are people just like them. Meaning, they have challenges and problems in their lives. They may have money, but it doesn't mean they don't have challenges and problems. And that sort of sometimes puts boxing on the back burner. You know, and it challenges the priority of boxing, right? And so we'll see how it goes with Teofimo Lopez. We'll see how he continues his career. I know I said in one of the shorts that the end is nigh for Teofimo Lopez, but you never know. And sometimes, you know, praying for somebody, you never know. People would say the end is nigh. I wouldn't say that. But what I say is this. A lot of people, if Teofimo Lopez was a black fighter, right now, they'd be going in on him and destroying him. But Teofimo Lopez will always have a future because he's not black. It's a reality of the situation. They wanted to get rid of Floyd. The vitriol and the hate. They go in on Shakur. Shakur actually retired, and then he's now going to fight, I think, with Top Rank. And they're talking about Shakur being a clown. Shakur's doing the same things Teofimo Lopez, Raul Romero, and Ryan Garcia have been doing. He just taking a playbook. He's just taking a page out of their playbook and saying, "Let's see what they do with me." That's what Shakur is doing, right? Shakur claimed his Puerto Rican heritage. He want to play the game. He's saying, "Oh, they could do that. Let me see what happens if I do it." That's what Shakur is doing. Oh, they're being ridiculous. Let me be ridiculous too. Let me see what they do. Where is the consistency? Right? Because if you guys can praise Teofimo Lopez and you can give him a pass on losing to Jermaine Ortiz, he lost to Jermaine Ortiz. Shakur didn't lose to anybody. And you can give him a pass and y'all can defend him. Will you do the same for Shakur? Jermaine Ortiz boxed a better fight than Shakur Stevenson did against Edwin De Los Santos. Much better fight. He showed more dominance than Shakur did against Edwin De Los Santos. He was on the front foot more than Shakur was against Edwin De Los Santos. right? Jermaine Ortiz did what he needed to do to win, and he did it well. Should have got the W. He did it better than Sando Martin. He did it as good as Jack Catterall did against Josh Taylor. And everybody called that a robbery. Okay, Catterall outboxed Josh Taylor. And Ortiz outboxed. He outboxed Teofimo Lopez. Canelo Alvarez outboxed Gennady Golovkin in their first fight. But no one out there will give these guys the credit they deserve. The credit that they deserve. Now, is Canelo ducking David Benavidez? Absolutely. Is Teofimo Lopez ducking Devin Haney? Absolutely. Is Tank Davis ducking all those top fighters? Absolutely. They're ducking. That's what they're doing. So it's not, with Teo, he is facing the very best. But he feels it's sufficient that I face Josh Taylor. I'm the man. I don't need to face Devin Haney. I don't need to face this guy. He's using that as an excuse because he knows the styles make fights. He's willing to sell out and go up against Terrence Crawford because he knows he'll make money. Whereas Devin Haney, he won't make as much money. This is his thought process. So I'm going to lead the whole entire division, go up to 147, take out Terrence Crawford, get knocked out, and make some money. That's how he's thinking about it. So he's not thinking like that. I mean, he thinks he could beat Terrence Crawford somehow, some way. He thinks Terrence Crawford is not as skilled as him, which is ridiculous, right? So my point being, Mikey Garcia left 135 pounds, jumped all the way up to welterweight to fight Errol Spence instead of facing Vasily Lomachenko. My point is, stop jumping weight classes and jumping way out the division to face a guy when you have guys in your division that can make fights that are big, as big or bigger. You know? Just saying. Just saying. So that's my last point. I am what you need. You guys have been watching this channel. Don't forget you can donate via PayPal. The link is in the description. I will catch you guys later. All the lovers out there, happy belated Valentine's Day to you and your significant others, your family, etc. I'm get out of here now. What you need? Peace.